I'd like to call this meeting open. Please rise for a prayer and reflection. Shirley, would you lead us in prayer, please?
Sure. Father, we stand before you today, and we are approaching a time in our society that 247 years ago, this nation was founded upon actually your biblical principles. And this nation had tremendous prosperity as we followed those principles. But the farther we stray from them, the more difficulties we find ourselves in. We're here today as public servants, and I would pray that we would seek your wisdom and your guidance in all we do, that we would make decisions to benefit the citizens of this county. So we ask your blessings upon this meeting, and I pray that all that we do would be done to glorify and honor you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Item 3, any citizen desiring to be heard?
None signed up.
Hearing none. Item 4, meeting with county officers regarding estimated needs for fiscal year 23-24. First on the list will be the district attorney's office.
Laura had some surgery and she's not back on her feet yet. She asked me to present on her behalf. So I'll start out by saying their monies, except for what we pay for civil attorney, is reimbursed by the state. So their M&O budget is set by the state district attorney's council. It hasn't changed at $25,000. They have been for many years getting a $6,000 for law books. They're finding they're not using that with the internet, so they've dropped that and actually applied the $6,000 to the civil attorney, which is Jeremiah. I've been low now, Jeremiah. And to raise it from $6,555.98 per month per year to $11,005. So their total budget request is actually down $1,000 from last year to $36,500.
Any questions?
One, a lot of times when we cut some expenditures out of something, do we always have to just transfer it to be spent somewhere else?
So in
or is that something they really requested?
They did. So
okay.
In this case, in all honesty, Charlie, Jeremiah's costing more money than Lowell did.
Okay.
And so what they've done is they've looked at Payne County pays a lot more for civil because they use him more than we do. But she did have to increase that to get him. So it upped our responsibility.
Yeah. Well, I have a lot of respect for him. I just wondered what the deal was, you know. And if he keeps us out of trouble and gives us good legal advice, then that's well worth it then. So, okay.
All righty, next is court clerk.
My budget was increased to give raises to my employees and the extra money on the travel that was required by statute.
So Charlie, I forget your name. So in front of you, you'll see these, and they should be somewhat in order of what each officer filed. Just making sure that.
I don't have any questions on that one myself. You guys good?
The only question I would have, and it probably wouldn't show up in these expenditures, and it definitely wouldn't today, but is there any funds available to help refurbish those courtrooms and maybe get an elevator for the jury room?
Used to, we could request that. They have cut that all off because they have been in the deficit for so many years with the court fund stuff. We cannot do any refurbishing through the court fund and stuff.
So what's the court fund used for?
Running the courts. It pays for all the phone services, we pay for all the utilities, paper, computers, all that stuff.
So, you know, here a while back we was looking at maybe adding some monitors to the courtroom so they don't have to drag in TVs and stuff.
And we actually, Judge Dool got a grant for that. I don't know what he's done to,
Right. I talked to him, he's willing to spend the grant on that, but could we use court funds to help pay for the other half of that project?
we'd have to talk to Judge Corley.
Okay. Thank you. Anything else?
Don't all the fees that you raise go into Oklahoma County and then they redistribute it to the rest of the state?
No.
Okay. How do the fees that you raise?
We have
Here.
certain percents and amounts that go to CLEAT, Avis, Law Library, about 1 million different funds, and we send them to each specific fund every
Okay.
month
Okay. Has it been that way a long time?
since I've been there.
Okay. All right.
State good.
Oh, okay.
It's been a while.
Be nice.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Sheriff, you're up, brother. Jail first.
Jail first. On the jail side, we're asking for an additional $19,091 to offset the cost of medical and food as they're ever increasing. That's pretty much it on the detention side.
Yeah. Yeah.
I should have been looking.
His message, you can't take this, even though it's in flag.
I mean, you guys seen the contract on the medical, so it did.
Yeah, I don't have anything.
All right, sheriff's office.
On the sheriff's side, we're asking for an additional $2,329.70. We're looking at, again, some funding for some of our deputies to get some raises, and being a little creative with some of the other accounts to make that happen. You know, something of note, when we have the 3 SROs that come out of the general fund, and we're expecting a return to the general fund from those 3 schools in the neighborhood of $62,707.80 is what we'll get reimbursed for those. That goes back into general fund, so. We changed that last year.
Any questions?
I don't.
Thank you, Damon.
You're welcome.
Election board, Celine, you're up.
I have most of my budgets the same as last year. I do have that went into effect May 1st of this year due to our registrations. My salary went up and then my assistant gets 90% of mine, so that's the only increase I had.
Any questions?
Have you been hearing any rumors of Zuckerberg giving election boards money again?
Yeah.
And where do we put that money when they did that?
We used it we updated our office with counters and flooring and
Where do we put it here? Capital outlay?
It's not, that was considered a donation, so it's not part of the general fund. It went into the donation fund and was expended from there.
Did you seek that donation or did that just come to you?
the state told us whenever they sent an email about it and told us it would be a good idea to do it, but I know that we're not doing this anymore.
Yeah. I wondered if anyone called George Soros to see if he had sent, $500 million here or something like that. Somebody caught that one, huh? Okay.
Probably not.
I did, but I was gonna be quiet.
Yeah.
Any more questions for Celine? Hearing none.
You know, George Soros, he wants his DA in place, not ours, so.
I understand that.
Stephen, Emergency Management, you're up, bro.
I'm up, okay. On mine, I asked for a small raise on personnel service. I didn't ask for any part-time help. I left my travel the same. A lot of my travel I get reimbursed from the state for grants that they do throughout the year for that. On my maintenance and operation, I asked for a small increase in that. Siren maintenance, I left the same for all the storm sirens around the county. That's seemed to be a good number for the past couple years since I took over this position. And then on capital outlay, I did put in there, I don't know if it's in the packet or not, my EM truck, I was hoping to do some upgrades to it, make it a little more functional and versatility and everything on it, adding a cargo slide and a command box cabinet in the back, and then a topper on it for better storage and hauling equipment around and everything. I did get a estimate from one of the outfitters on outfitting the truck, and that was included in there too, of kind of what I wanted to do.
I know this is probably just a representative,
Yeah, I just,
but that ladder rack would be like a $500 option. Do you need a ladder rack?
no, I'm not, I just wanted to print off a picture of the topper box, kind of what I was looking to put on there, but yeah, no, I don't need a ladder rack and all that, so, yeah.
Something we might think about with Stephen's office though, I mean, we are pushing off the safety director on him and also the stormwater thing we're gonna have to do with EPA, and we might think in the future about some part-time help to help him do the stormwater deal and maybe even the safety deal. So, something to think about.
One question I had on a set the ACO meeting last week.
Yeah.
I found out that a lot of the commissioners have safety training, and I guess your name is the person that's supposed to do that.
Yeah, I was talking to Mark about this morning. He gave me a contact to reach out to at ACO to
Okay.
reach out to him, get some
So, I
training
didn't-
material and stuff in, so.
Yeah.
It's really not that much,
Yeah.
but it really, on the backside of it, it can be a lot because of the liability issue for the
Right.
board or for the county. And if you say, if you can show, well, we've had these quarterly meetings and we covered that subject that you just messed up on 8 months ago.
Yeah.
And so you should have known how to do this, and then I think it'll take some liability off the rest of the county.
And another thing too, on the safety is, you know, we were fortunate to have our insurance go down for workers' comp.
Yes.
And, you know, the more our employees are trained with that forethought and all, and, you know, you hopefully don't have to pay as much in insurance for those things too.
Yeah. And
Saves
hopefully it
money for
keeps
other
dropping
things.
and,
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Thank you, Stephen.
Yep.
Extension Office.
So we're not asking for any increase or decrease. Are now fully staffed. Travel we expect to be about the same. We still need the repairs in the back room where the flooding occurred last year.
Well, I'm glad to see you here. We didn't have a representative last year, so thanks for doing your job. Appreciate it.
may I ask just a little bit what that job is? You could just,
So I'm kind of the front line for Oklahoma State's research to anything ag related, and Dawn Andrew, who is not here today, she is for the family and consumer science side. So if you have a question about anything agricultural related, you'd come to us.
and you're new to this position, aren't you?
Yes, sir.
I think I saw an article about you in the newspaper, so I'm actually, might be one of the few people who read the newspaper, you never know. So,
Charlie, we're statutorily required to have an extension office
Okay,
and we contract directly with OSU to provide that service.
right.
So it's the ag, it's the 4-H program, it's the HCE programs, all of those that fall under.
And does that work with the Fair Board also? or
They
some-
do, they
some
do work
degree?
a lot with the Fair Board.
Okay.
They're housed down there and they work a lot with different programs and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, okay.
I drove through there the other day just after we talked about the insurance and the building.
Right.
And I gotta say, it looks good down there. And I assume the Fair Board takes care of all the grounds.
I appreciate it, young man, thank you. All right, Dennis, free fair.
And as a continuation of Mark, that's pretty much what we do is we're trying to bring the fairgrounds up to date for the kids of the county, not just Guthrie, but every community in the county. We've made a lot of, thanks to you guys and our growth in the county, we've been able to do some stuff that we hadn't been able to do for years and years and years. And as you guys know, if you don't take care of stuff, it deteriorates. And we'd got to the point to where it was pretty bad, but it's improving. We're continuing to try and every year improve that. We've fought those old buildings forever trying to get them to where they don't leak. We've tried several things, and we think we finally have figured out that the best thing to do is to just level them off with some wood and then address it with the coating on top of that to stop a lot of that water. That's what the biggest part of ours is for that. That being said, we've, for the first time, and we started this with Damon and the other people about getting some help down there that we get, to help work off community hours and that kind of stuff, and that's paid big dividends to us too. So I appreciate what you're saying, Mark, because I feel like that probably we're in the best shape we've been, and I hate to say this, but I'm older than Cheryl, and I've been around probably a little bit longer than Cheryl, but in my tenure, I can honestly say the fairgrounds are in the best shape they've been in ever. I mean, ever. I've got pictures of my dad when he had the champion Hereford steer down there in 1948, and it's amazing how much of that stuff still looks the same, but we are improving it every day. And if you haven't had a chance to come down there and look at everything, you need to, because it's an ongoing process and it is getting better.
Is it most, go ahead, Charlie.
I was just going to ask a question because I know it's a free fair, which I guess we do all the expenses for that, but you do lease those buildings out, do you not, to other groups?
Yes.
And then do you use that money to help
Yes.
spiff it up and things like that?
Yes, and to be honest with you, Charlie, it had gotten to the point to where nobody was leasing it because it had gotten such a deteriorated condition. And for the first time now, we're starting to, if for a long, long time, about the only one that we would lease would be the educational building, which is where the dinners are. But it was even getting to the point to where it wasn't being rented that much because we were fighting everything so much. Well, now, not only are they leasing that, but we're leasing every building there. And that's our goal, is to get to where we can do that to increase the income.
It's been years since I've been to anything. I've been to several events there over the years, but it's been a long time, so.
Feel free to correct me, because it's been a while, but there is a certain percentage of millage for the property tax that goes to the free fair, right?
No, not in this county.
Not in
No, they are a budgetary, they're not set aside, so they operate on this budget. They are, because of the statute has several formations in Title II. The rent fees they maintain separately, and they use them for show premiums and some additional stuff, but they are our general fund budgeted.
But the health department, they get it.
The health department is not even in this stat today because they have a dedicated millage.
Any more questions for Dennis? Dennis, I'm glad to see you out and about.
Yeah.
Doing good.
Good to be seen.
Yes, sir. Hang in there, brother. Alrighty, Mary, County Assessor.
Yeah, we're just asking for the same as last year. The only increase is to accommodate an increase in travel per the state.
Hard to ask a question off that.
Good.
visual.
Yeah.
All righty, Sherry.
I didn't change mine really much, just the statutory travel and then a small $100 a month raise for my first deputy, and that's it.
Any questions for Sherry? Thank you, ma'am. County Commissioner, General Government. Oh, Lord. We want it all.
That number doesn't indicate that.
Are you on general government?
Yes. Well, actually, my page is on county audit.
Where do you want to start? They're all.
Let's start on county audit.
So the county audit amount, the state statutes require that 1/10 of 1 mil of all budgets is set aside to pay auditing fees. At this stage of the game, it's just a guess. It will be adjusted when we get to final budget to that 1/10 of 1 mil. That money has to be reallocated each year till it's used, because we don't usually get audited till there's 2 or 3 years, so it'll pile up and then we'll spend it out.
And they'll get every penny of it.
And they get every penny of it, but we're kind of, for this stage of the game, the estimate went in at 145,000 as an estimate, but it will be adjusted once we know what the numbers are.
And I have a question. When Mr. Ellis resigned, was there an audit done?
There was a turnover audit done.
Okay, all right. And I guess that's an additional expense that
It
you
is.
don't normally plan on.
And it can't be paid from this audit account, so
Okay.
that was encumbered for a separate purpose.
Did my district pay for that, or?
I believe we put that on from general government because we didn't have a commissioner there and the chairman made the request.
Okay.
I actually asked for it just to keep the next guy in the clear and
Yeah,
clear him up as well.
yeah. I think
I
that's-
gave that audit to Jen, so
Okay.
she ought to have to call.
Okay.
These turnover audits, they're up to the person in office. Now, I asked for one whenever I came in,
Mhm.
not that I was looking for anything, I just wanted to start square.
Yeah.
And so I couldn't ask until I was
Yeah.
sworn in.
Well, I thought one had been done. I didn't ask for one because I thought one had been done. But it's wise, I think.
Yeah.
You know, so.
With the previous, when Mike Pearson was leaving office, I insisted that he get a turnover audit. He wasn't going to.
Mhm.
And I said, this just protects you and it protects the county.
Right.
That way you don't have a big investigation later on accusations.
Right.
So next, you want anything else to?
No.
Next would be charity.
So the charity account, the request hasn't changed, $1,750. It can only be used to assist with indigent funeral expenses.
I might mention we had a claim
Yes, we did
last week. So.
Now, if we budget $1,750 for this, we don't use it all, does it roll over to the next year?
So what happens with the way general fund works is June 30th, 4:30, close of business. Any funds remaining in any of the general fund accounts become carryover to calculate this budget year we're looking
Okay,
at.
okay. All right, good.
A rule of thumb, we don't ever use the whole section.
Right.
So we really never increased it for several years.
Yeah.
We did change the funerals a few years ago and put a limit on it. And I think we do cremation.
Cremation,
Because there's so
yeah.
much.
Yeah.
Well, the truth of it is though, the
We pay the
fees,
permit.
yeah, we pay the permit fee and they have went up. So it's very likely we may have to look at raising this at some point.
So next is general government.
So general government is the main M&O account that, well, the personnel services in there is up enough to allow for a slight raise for the 2 custodians. The M&O account is what pays all of the utilities, telephone. It also pays the property liability insurance bill, all those supplies, custodial supply, all of that kind of stuff is M&O and general government. The building maintenance account, the request stayed the same at 1.15. M&O was increased by 300,000. That was allowing for the increase in the property and liability insurance. Capital outlay, that's where we've kind of always looked at having a savings account and stuff what we can. So the request there is up based on that principle. The safety award is providing it's budgeted. There's been some years we had to cut it. Is an award given to employees to encourage safe practices. And then the addition is the hope, if the money is available, there's a $50,000 incentive longevity fund that we hope to create that would be as an incentive to employees, help keep them around. So, but
Now,
that's never been funded before.
And if the money's available, is that 50,000 a little extra, or is that just enough?
That 50, I mean, there'd probably be enough left. It's kind of like a safety award. You never know what employees you're gonna have, and it's all with the longevity, it's based on years of service. So if you have turnover, it's going to shift. But this allows a little cushion to allow for any of those kind of changes.
And my memory's right, you'd have to be employed 3 years. In order
It's 2.
2 years.
It doesn't, you don't qualify till after 2. It change, and the state, by statute, has it set out at 2-year increments, so it's not every year. I mean, you can receive the award every year, but it's for a 2-year work history and 2-year increments. It also, you know, we had started doing several years ago an employee appreciation luncheon as an incentive program. So we've just used M&O for that in the past, but I figure we could loop that into this fund if we can get it all funded.
Insurance.
So the insurances that are set out separate, these are the employee matching funds, FICA retirement, employee health insurance, unemployment, workman's comp. Slight increases for FICA retirement, those are percentage based on gross wages. And so as we give raises to our staff, those costs go up.
Go up, yeah.
So we've had a request for an increase for that offset. Employee health insurance, we did not ask for an increase. It was funded long. Bear in mind on that particular one, we have to fund it like every employee takes the maximum of $650 per month, but not every employee does. So we're always going to have a carryover. It's kind of a good place to know we've got a little extra money, but we have to fund it like every employee does. Workman's comp, you'll notice they're actually reduced. So because we haven't had a whole lot of work comp claims, we have in the last 2 weeks had a couple, but they've been small, they've not been major. We actually saw a reduction of our work comp premium for the year. And so 184,933 as opposed to 236,000. So it was a good reduction.
Let me ask a question here on the unemployment.
Yes, sir.
So, unemployment, we would be, I guess I'm thinking of a claim. We have to pay into that a certain amount, don't we?
We have to pay into the
Yeah.
state unemployment. We do not pay into the federal.
Okay.
We pay 1% of gross wage. That is our premium.
Okay, all right. So, because I would think that we hardly ever have a layoff here. Either people quit, retire, or we fire them.
Correct. However, the way unemployment works is somebody can file for it and be awarded it. If they were terminated for a gross misconduct, they can be denied.
Right.
Okay? If
Right.
they up and quit, they're not entitled.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So,
County Commissioner.
So these are the accounts that pay the salaries for the commissioner, secretary, and the 3 commissioners. And it went up with a statutory travel allowance that went up and allowed a little increase for the commissioner secretary.
Is that this secretary
Yes.
here
Yes.
and not the one in
Right.
each of our barns? Okay.
You pay the one that you're born out of your
Right.
dominoes.
Right.
Highway budget account, not near none.
So, as you know, this is allowed by statute only in the case that we've been able to fund every other request and we have the money to do it. The request is 300,000, that would be 100,000 for each district. It doesn't happen every year. We've been able to do it a couple of years, but we have to take this step to be able to get to that.
Since I've been here, Charlie, I think maybe 3 times.
Mhm.
Not very long.
And that's out of property taxes, isn't it?
Yeah.
So very,
Yeah. So, you know, when we tell people that property taxes don't go to the road, it's not really, every once in a while, some of it does.
Yeah.
But not very
is
often.
this the most that we've ever received from property tax?
Most we've ever asked
Yeah.
for.
Yeah.
Next is.
So could we ask for a whole bunch more?
It don't cost anything now.
You can ask, but
It's time for almost.
it's always the first on the chopping block. That's, you know, that's the thing.
County clerk,
So you'll note that my fees that we collected for filing that goes to general fund was at 422,000. It was down just a little bit from the year before. Other than the statutory travel, I did not ask to any increase. I have extra salary funding from turnover and accumulation that I will use to give raises this year. So I'm not asking for any increases.
any questions? Hearing none. County Excise Board, is Chris gonna come up and do this?
Let me turn this off real quick.
So the excise board budget is the same request as last year and the years it's been. I will tell you that they are allowed by statute. In fact, the money just went up. They could receive $75 for a meeting, not only as the excise, but they also serve as the equalization. And our 3 members have actually waived off receiving anything and volunteer their services to the county each year. But we do put 1,000 in because we could get another member and that could change. Travel's the same, the M&O's the same, so no changes.
What about the possibility of having them paid to be on the excise board?
Privilege.
Well, Chris, we thank you for your service on this.
Yes.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
And the other 2 as well.
Who are the other 2, by the way?
Kenny Davis and Brian Sturkle.
Yeah, I don't know the last one, I guess.
Brian lives in your district. He's the District 2 representative,
Okay.
way down south.
He's appointed by the.
His appointment is by the state senator through OTC.
State senator in 28, the new senator or the previous senator, I wonder?
Well, their terms are coterminous to District 1 and District 3, so their new term started in January of this year for 4 years. They are on a 4-year term. So
Okay.
Senator Hall reappointed Brian.
So Hall has not been our senator since, I guess, swearing in day of October.
No, he's our senator.
No, ours is Grant Green. Or in my district, or at least where I live.
For a little part out.
Yeah.
But for this, it falls to Senator Hall.
Okay.
And Kenny Davis is the District 1 rep, and he's appointed by the district judge. So Judge Corley appointed him.
Okay.
And Chris is appointed for District 3, and that's this board.
Technically, it's the tax commission, and they're gonna appoint who the senators are.
Yes.
It's a formality, Chris.
Dennis, thank you, brother.
Yeah, thank you guys. Y'all have a good day. Appreciate all of you.
I'm breaking speed limits now.
Yeah, I gotta say, turtles can outrun me, I can promise you.
So we ready to move on? Item 5, consideration of possible action on lost here. Regarding estimate need for 23-24.
No, we done those, one, number 4, 5.
On 5, you're right. Consideration of possible action on financial statement for resale property fund.
Yeah, we need a motion on the floor.
No. It wasn't set for action, just meeting with.
Moving on fast.
One that just run out.
$2 for government.
This is from Sherry. Publication, because he asked publication.
Yeah.
Which is still with the newspaper, even though we only have one by a shoestring, so.
Yeah.
I'd entertain a motion.
I'll move.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, the motion carries. Item 8, consideration of possible
Yeah.
action on financial statement of resale property. I just did this.
These,
Damn.
they belong to the county, this is stuff she's taking back.
They're talking.
Someone she'll have by, he hadn't been.
So the resale fund is now, all treasurers have one. And so properties that come back for taxes, you know, that the county owns.
And then the sheriff sells them if they don't.
No, that's different.
Okay.
That's different. So if, after 4 years of unpaid property tax, every June, every county does the auction for those that came back for lack of taxes.
Mhm.
And the resale fund handles all of that. All the penalties that are collected go to the resale and that to cover the cost of the employees and maintenance on the properties. If we get properties back that have to be mowed, Sherry has to pay to have them mowed. There have been occasions that we've had such dilapidated buildings that she's had to pay to have them torn down. So her staff, all of that comes out of that resale fund.
So now the city tears down buildings from time to time.
But that's not,
And that's not ours.
Right.
So why do we have to tear a building down?
so if we had a property that came back to the county for lack of
Right.
taxes,
Right.
well, now the county owns that dilapidated,
Right.
unable to do anything with property.
Right.
And so if they're in that kind of shape that it hinders the resale,
Okay. If it's worth more to have the building taken down.
right, because as long as the county owns those properties, they're not on the tax roll.
Mhm.
And so anyone can walk in anytime to a treasurer's office and get a list of county-owned properties, and if they want them, they can put up a bid.
Mhm.
They have to pay the publication cost and the back tax, and they can buy that property.
Mhm.
But if you are looking at, you know, a house, the roof's caved in and the whole thing, no one's ever going to want to buy it. We're never going to get it off our rolls and back on the tax rolls. So she made, and has had to invest, unfortunately, more money than we're going to get, but at least it puts it back in the public, in the system.
And if you could spend $2 to tear it down and get $3 for it, I guess
It
you
never works that way, but
Yeah, I'm
we
just
wish.
saying, yeah.
Now, I will
If
say.
you had to spend $4 to tear it down and only get $3
Right.
for it.
But, so there's a couple things we have to look at. There's a liability issue with a property that's that dilapidated, who does what and gets hurt and that kind of thing. And number two, as long as it's on us, and held by us, there's no property tax being paid on it, there's nothing. It's
Right.
just sitting as a drag on the neighborhood.
Sure.
Sherry works, she's done really, really good to keep our resale list small. They typically are able to sell off most stuff. We've got a couple of things that we can never get rid of because there's issues with a couple of little tiny properties. But we're fortunate we do not have a very long list of county held properties.
On average, how many a year come on? Do we have to take possession of?
So I think in her resale that was just last month, I forget how many she said actually made it to sell. You know, once they hit that list, people tend to come in and pay up a year to keep from going.
Yeah.
30 or 40. I've seen years we've had it a whole lot higher than that. Most of them, you know, if they can pay 1 year, they can get pulled out of the sale.
Yeah.
And so it's an actual public auction. So if you have some of the nicer homes that for whatever reason were lost to taxes, you will get a big crowd to buy them, and they never come back to the county. They get sold to an individual through an auction process.
Alrighty, item 6, consideration of possible action on resolution approving monetary compensation for overtime hours in the election board.
So while we utilize comp time for overtime for county employees, there is a carve out for the election board. In the event when they hold elections for school boards or municipalities, something that's not state or county, those employees get cash for overtime, and that is paid by that municipality or school board. Shalene sends them a bill. So we do an annual resolution that just allows that that's how that's handled.
They don't get cash.
And
No, they get
Cash.
the cost.
that's paid by the entity.
The cost of the special election that I just won, we bear all of that. That
She
cost.
did.
She did. Yeah.
She did. She had enough funds in her budget
Okay.
that she didn't
To
need.
handle that. Okay. Well, I haven't thanked her for that then yet. I'll do that.
I'll move we approve item 6.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on it? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, motion carries. Item 7, consideration and possible action on the resolution establishing a Logan County investment policy for 23-24.
And this is just a statutory, it's very simple, that's required each fiscal year. It basically just says, if we had this, we agree that it could be invested. And the auditors pull it when they come in just to see that we have this little piece of paper.
And this would be maybe money in the trust fund, or could it be?
No, the trust has nothing to
Okay.
do.
It could actually be county funds then.
So there was a time before things got so costly and you know, even before me, and I've been here a long time, that there was a practice to say at the end of the fiscal year, if you had general fund monies that didn't get spent, we're gonna go invest it, we're not gonna put it back in the pot.
Okay.
That kind of thing. If we were to get, that belonged to general, not the trust, that belonged here, some form of windfall, this would allow that we could invest it. Sherry could. It's really done for the treasurer's office.
We need a motion.
Yes, we do. You make it?
Yeah, I bet we approve that.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, motion carries. Item 8, consideration of possible action on resolution designating depository banks for 23-24.
Another, this is done annually for the fiscal year that just lists all of these local banks that the treasurer is authorized to use.
They have to be local and county.
We prefer it to do that way. I'm not gonna say there's a legal requirement for it, it's a make sense requirement for that. And then depending on the type of money, our main bank is F&M. However, we do have accounts at Interbank because the depository accounts can't be at the same bank as our general account. So she has some statutory requirements to have money in different locations.
Yeah. Well, there was a day in Oklahoma, we didn't have any branch banking. And boy, that has certainly changed for sure. And a lot of banks that are even here now.
Well, and I will
Any
tell
other
you, quite a
places.
few years ago, our main bank was Bank First. And when they came to Sherry, she was treasurer at the time, and wanted to start imposing fees for all of our transactions and all of our deposits and all of that, it would have ended up costing a couple $1,000s a month in fees. And
Yeah.
Sherry looked at him and said, no, we're not doing that. And she went out and we ended up at F&M.
Yeah. Good job.
Yeah, OSU, those classes that they have it for all officers. And you might ruffle a few feathers. I don't think with the group of officers we have now we'd be too worried about it. But you can go to any of those other officers' training that deals with their office exclusively to better understand what you're doing on your end and what they do. Yeah. Now there was a time where it was a conspiracy if you went because you're really just trying to get somebody to run against them. But
Yeah.
I don't think.
Yeah. Well, there's a bit of responsibility on our part to know as much as we can.
I'll move we approve the banks.
I second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, the motion carries. 9, consideration and possible action to approve application for temporary appropriation for the general fund and health department for 23-24.
So as of right now, nobody in general has money. So the way that we get money to operate while we're working through the budget process is through temporary appropriations. That's generally 1/2 of last year's approved budget for each account. We do have exceptions to that rule, and they're noted with an asterisk. I'll show that. For instance, we fund the workman's comp 100% so that we can make one payment and save $3,000.
Sure.
We fund general M&O over 50% so we can pay the property and liability in one fund. The civil attorney amount for the DA's office, we fund at 100% of the request so that they can get that check sent. So there's a few exceptions, but for the most part, it is half of last year's money is being granted to the general fund account so we can operate while we work on a budget.
Okay.
So moved.
I second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, the motion carries.
Did you get both pages?
No, I did not. Let me get that next page started for you. And we signed the excise board too.
No, I made you all green and them red.
Now, Chris, is there any filter you can put on that to make us look younger?
Money broke it.
Skinnier, maybe?
Mine,
I won't let it down. Item 10 is going to be consideration and possible action on contract with Haskell Lemon Group LLC for Davis Road paving in the amount of $249,688.
So Monty,
Sure,
when
project.
Tammy and I worked this up, they are holding last 6 months. I got them a number so they would hold the bid price for the laid in place. It's not to exceed 249, but until we have an actual tonnage count, we did approximates of the 24, and their bonds are attached, so that is good go.
And they're supposed to start on this project July 5th.
Money is set.
Not the asphalt, but they're going to stabilize it. It'll take about 2 weeks to stabilize it, then Haskell Lemon will come in and
So who's doing the stabilization?
TJ Campbell.
Okay. They do fly ash and things like that?
Yeah,
Okay.
you know, they gotta get it, I think it's 95% compaction.
Okay.
And the contract we had to stabilize, I think it was 32 foot, but we shrunk it in because it was going way over budget, so 2 would be 24.
does this cover the entire expense of doing that road, or is this just the Haskell Lemon paving?
That's just Haskell Lemon. Altogether, it's gonna be about a $500,000 project.
For how many miles?
One.
1 mile. $8 for a mile.
Ideal Homes made a donation of $300,000, so the county's gonna have about $200,000.
Okay.
You need a motion?
I do.
I'll make a motion with sign the contract with Haskell.
I'll second.
I've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Mark, I'm sorry, I signed.
You're all right. Yeah, they won't know the difference.
You know, Troy, I might say that 500,000, that's from going from scratch to a road that's done. Minus the striping, I'll have to stripe it on.
And what generally does it cost to stripe a mile?
It's not horrible, depends on if you go with paint or plastic. The plastic's a little more expensive, so I get paid the number, I haven't done it in a while.
You have to stand in line, and they've been getting more competitive, but that's one of the things we have Jeffrey Dixon working on for all the ACOG area, or the urbanized area, and trying to get striping and signs up. But sometimes you can get, since there's safety funds, they're 100%, that you have to wait. Now, it's faster than it used to be, and correct me if I'm saying something wrong, because now ODOT, you don't have to bid each one. They've already had that bid out, and you just pick a contractor that they have pre-approved.
They pre-approved.
Still has to go through the ODOT circle, though.
I'm not sure if Davis Road falls in that.
It may not. It may
I'm
not.
not sure, I have to check.
It may be just major collectors. Now, I ran over that with Brandon with ODOT the other day. He said, well, they've stuck to major collectors, but I went and read the U.S. Code, and the U.S. Code says major collectors and
Secondary.
if we deem it to actually need it for safety reasons. So he said, well, it's in there, but.
Item 11, be consideration of possible action on master service and purchase agreement with Axon Enterprises of the Sheriff's Department. Damon, you coming up to get a speak, or you leaving? No,
Yes.
you're gonna speak.
You know, Hagee wanted me to tell you that you're looking mighty radiant today.
Thank you, Hagee. I said Fauci, I'm proud of you.
Good man. So we'll get on.
It's not much demand for them.
What you have before you is two contracts. We can go over them one at a time. We have a body camera contract as well as a contract to redo our evidence room for recording. These are substantial contracts. As you guys know, technology and everything, there's a huge cost involved with that. Our current body cameras, we have generation 1s, generation 2s, or generation 4s now. Everything's going to cloud-based storage, so it's stored in the cloud. To give you a little history of our body cameras, Sheriff Bound was the one that started it using the Axon system, and we were able to download the cameras to a server. As that server would get full, we'd take it, put it on a terabyte drive, and put it in evidence. Well, with the new cameras, you know, the cloud service is where they're making their money. So we're forced to go to the cloud. Some of the things the new technology does is when that GPS or when that camera is activated, it also has GPS in it, and it also has a SIM card. So I can go on and view that recording live. So if we got an incident anywhere, we can do that. With the cloud service, we've got unlimited storage. We went with unlimited. It wasn't that much more to go to an unlimited deal. And we turn our body cameras on. Every call we go on, we activate our body cameras. So there's a lot of data that we pull throughout the day. We don't have dash cameras. To me, there's more value on a bodywork camera than one sitting on the dash of a unit. So we're not looking to go to any type of a body or a vehicle mounted camera system. Something for our interview room as well as our body cameras is they have a dictation system. So once we do an interview, we can go in, dictate it to a report. So that's a huge deal. Something this software has that our previous system doesn't. As as you know, we get a lot of open records requests for body cam footage. If there's juveniles or certain things that are in there that violate the open records statute, we can't release that. The Axon system has the ability to go in and blur certain things so we can release that body cam footage. And as you guys know,
Blur someone's face.
Yep. You blur the face or a body or whatever. In this day and age of law enforcement, obviously transparency is a huge thing that we try to accommodate. So by doing that, we'd be able to release more of our body cam footage and not look like we're trying to cover something up. One thing the new cameras does as well is it increases the nighttime visibility of the cameras. That's a huge deal because obviously you got several guys that work at nighttime. The current system we have, like in our interview room, if you got access to our digital cameras that are in our building, you got access to the interview room. So if we want to do an internal affairs investigation or anything and use that interview room, anybody can go on and watch it. Going to a standalone system has limitations on who can go in and view, stuff like that. It's the way of the future, and we've got to do something to create, update our system, basically. And like I said, this is a 5-year lease purchase. We can pay it outright. There's no benefit in savings to pay it outright. Jeremiah has reviewed it. The first year is roughly $21,000 because we won't get the cameras till later, and after that it's $41,474 a year up to 2027, and then the evidence room is $6,878.80 a year to maintain that with the cloud and everything. So I mean, like I said, technology is expensive. And Axons have proven themselves to be, and they're also on a NASPR contract.
And you have this in your budget already?
Yes.
Did you mention how many cameras?
50. Currently, we don't have 50. About 2 years ago or so, I implemented a deal where if you go into a pod, like our detention staff, when they go into a pod, they have to have a body camera on, have to have it activated. So they're sharing body cameras. A lot of times the batteries aren't charged. This will give every detention deputy their own body camera to maintain it, keep it charged, as well as like our judicial doesn't have body cameras. Stephen doesn't have a body camera. I don't have a body camera. And this will allow all of us to have body cameras. So when we actually do go out, we'll have an audio and video recording of it all. And there's a cost associated with it. I don't lie when I saw the amount about.
It's sure. That I don't know what the cost was on that particular year, but it's sure
2017. Yeah, 2017, and that's one of those things too. And this, you talk about liability protection, for the citizens and the county. We can't really do this job anymore without them.
It reveals both sides.
Both sides.
One of the things at the ACO meeting last week, the gentleman, I guess, is in charge of the insurance for that.
Yes.
Said that the greatest growth of the liability insurance is sheriff's departments.
Yep,
and complimented the job that you're one of the good sheriffs
we appreciate
that we don't have.
I give it all to the staff.
Don't have a lot of claims out of, and that helps to keep our workers
Well,
going.
and I think too, implementing the body cameras back there, because we have, of course, cameras in all of our pods, but it doesn't record audio. So the biggest thing that I see is a fight take place between staff or an inmate. I don't know the conversation led up to that.
Yeah.
And with the body cameras, it captures all that.
So what happens if one of your deputies fails to turn on a camera when he's supposed to?
Depends on the situation. Of course, there's counseling things that we do to try to encourage that, but ultimately it could be disciplinary action. We've got a lot of money invested in our current old cameras, and I think the thing, I can tell you that since I've been doing this job, I've never worn a body camera because we didn't have them at Guthrie when I was there. But as the guys wear those, there's been numerous times that them wearing it and activated it has protected them on a complaint.
Absolutely, yeah.
So most of our guys, unless we just get into a heated something all of a sudden, there's one situation where they didn't turn their body camera on until after the fact because they were completely engaged with the subject. And it's one of those things where I understand, and Axon has things, so like if we turn our lights on, you'll activate your body camera. If you pull your pistol out of your holster, it'll activate your body camera. There's certain things that we can add to that. The biggest thing with the holster deal is we bump them, they get knocked off, we gotta replace them. But for the most part, all of our guys are really good about turning their body cameras on because they know that protects them, the office, and the person that they're dealing with. So, I mean, they're probably our biggest protection over bulletproof vests, and I pray to God we never have to use one of those.
One protects you in the field, the other protects you in the court.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
All righty, Damon, thank you.
I'll move. Yes, unless you want further discussion.
I'm good. I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Thank you.
Aye. All opposed, the motion carries. Thank you, Damon.
None on 13 and 14.
Yes, sir. Good.
12 and 13.
What about
12 and 13. I have none. I do have 14.
So item 14 would be consideration of possible action on consent agenda items.
So Charlie, we did the temporary appropriations for general fund. All the cash funds now have to have money moved from last fiscal year to this fiscal year. So that's what these are.
And that will give us the new updated figures then.
And so that is moving from one to the other.
So what you're saying is get your ink pen warmed up.
She warned me about that.
You accomplished, you used this for what
Can we
you
get these in
set
order?
out to do.
No, yeah, I don't have to.
Okay.
Enjoy your lawn.
Bobby C, thanks for the donation.
Yeah, I do appreciate it, yeah. I won't be thankful for the extra pound they put on me, but that chocolate was great, sir.
She's been at that long enough now, Charlie. She knows how to put all that stuff back in order.
Okay.
Have a good weekend. We're holiday.
Don't blow your fingers off.
Hey.
Already started.
Bobby, what happened to the Go Poke thing? I didn't hear that.
I said it. You just weren't paying attention. You're getting older.
I guess I was listening to Charlie.
That's right. See y'all.
See you later.
You want these set aside? I take it
If
you
you
have
would.
another meeting right now.
Yes, that would be helpful, thank you. You have the next team on deck, so.
They want to come out and sign them.
What's the next board?
Excise.
And one day a year, they have to meet the same day you do.
Not like they had anything better to do
Yeah.
on this particular day.
Two have to be harvested anyhow.
And they know what happens. They learn the hard way when they mess up their schedules and don't have a quorum on the first meeting of July.
Is this Mr. Davis here?
This is Mr. Sturkle, and behind
Sturkle.
him is Mr. Davis.
Okay. There, okay, gotcha. And I guess Mr. Sturkle lives in District 2.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a voter.
Well, he's registered.
far, it's every day something new.
You remember Monty, he doesn't know yet.
It is.
Every day something new.
It never changes like that either. It just never knows.
Somebody drove a combine over a road down in southwest of Logan County and collapsed it, and I guess turned the combine over. It's the report I got.
What you, Kenny?
Yeah, not that I know of.
Kenny says, I hope it wasn't me. Y'all about done with harvest?
Just about.
That's always a pleasure and
Yeah. Usually it's long over.
Wheat,
That's what
wheat harvest?
Yes.
that's what they reported to me.
Oh, gosh.
I love it.
They may be fouling without sticking
Just came
it.
Yeah. It came when we needed it
Yeah,
to stay
you
dry.
never know.
Yeah. I've got a call in from someone that says that the hole could flip a car or something. I've got to get out and look at that.
And it may be, or it might be a 6-inch hole.
Yeah. I think it's end of a 10 horse.
I can promise you.
Can we take a break for rider's cramp here, or?
yes, sir, whatever you need to do, we'll do it.
I can
Bring another
promise
chocolate donut?
you. Whichever road it comes on, it's.
They're giving up 1 pound, not 2.
It's the busiest road in Logan County.
Is that Waterloo?
No, actually, any road someone calls in, I'm
Oh.
complaining about.
It's the only road that matters.
Now, see, could you imagine being an accountant for the company doing it this way? But this is how government works. That's what we're doing, what you do. We're moving money around. I'm sure your way's a lot more efficient.
Daily.
And more money. In this county, anyway.
Yeah.
I thought I had them almost all done.
Close.
Oh, and there's more coming.
So Charlie, it looks like someone just blew up a big paper bomb right there on the front of it. Now, when we were all three at that little bitty desk, you can imagine how it got.
Got plenty of room here, don't we?
Yeah, this is nice. Only problem, only complaint I have is when they installed Logan County, they got it a little crooked.
That fits some of them.
Hmm?
They kind of fit the character of some of them.
Well, yeah, I did tell the maintenance command this morning that I think he's doing a good job. Now it's been codified on tape, so he is doing a good job. It looks good. Really good.
The more I do this, the less my signature looks like my signature. Monty's scribble looks the same every time.
Mine's a yum with a line. Word mess up.
Like trying to duplicate Monty's here. That's, I'll learn. 1st of March, I couldn't even sign one.
Yeah, you're one.
Yep.
How's it doing? You fine?
Yeah.
You can move closer.
No. Only thing I did was snap that titanium plate and put it in there. So I'm gonna leave it.
So now you can't go through the middle of the tick.
Oh, I think I can. I have been so far. Wasn't that much titanium, I guess. Is that it?
You was close.
No more
That's not
after
it.
that?
There's a few more.
All those yellow ones?
Well, you know, until about a year and a half ago, I would say yes. But we came up with a way of being able to do them on a report, so you don't. But yeah, up and until we had to sign all those too.
Yes. Trying to speed them up, Mary. I'm sorry.
Okay, no problem.
Guess they're signing these as well.
I told her to wait and take tomorrow off.
Yeah.
She had to wait and take tomorrow off.
Do we have a bunch of today, Mary?
Yeah. Yep.
See, here's one of those little road accounts, road districts. Look at that money. You can do a whole lot of work to get to that kind of fund. That particular one, I think, is the one we were trying to convince the guy it's not worth it. But
Yeah.
Don't even get me started on anything.
Rural road district.
Boy, Dodson got one done over.
He got that one done, I think, right there.
Is that Spring Ridge?
Well, there's
No, it's,
this is Spring Ridge right here.
Well, Spring Ridge has now been collecting property tax or their village since 2011, and they have not broke $10,000 in total collections.
There's two over Spring Ridge.
And yet we get to just keep,
I think if the rural road district was large enough.
the problem is the statute needs to be amended to have a minimum property valuation so that the millage applies, generates enough money that you can actually do something.
There's another road district you can do where you go out for bonds and it's very
Right.
complex, but then.
pay back in 10 years.
No, I think if you don't get it paid back in two, the county has no choice but to take your property and sell it. And so I've been hesitant to ever try to get serious about one of those. And you remember what I'm talking about?
No.
One of them's, I think, statutory.
The rural road districts themselves can go out for bonds.
That's what I'm,
So they have to come through here.
and those had to pay off in 10 years, don't they?
Well, number one, I don't think they have to come through here. They're their own board. They're their own entity.
And those things are a mess anyways.
Oh, I do not recommend, like I said, the statutes on those need to go away.
We don't know who, what who's legally the representing authority on this or not, and did they hold their meeting correctly or not?
Yeah, the blankets will be it for consent.
Uh-oh.
All right.
That's how he was here.
I was just gonna say, wait a minute now.
So the last time I was here, someone said, man, don't walk in because our hearts skip a beat. I'm a new commissioner I wanted to be.
You couldn't get anybody after the meeting.
Uncle Tim.
Well, you look familiar, but I don't know who you are, sir.
I'm with OSBI.
Oh, okay. All right.
The last time I was here, there was a
Everything's clean under these fingernails. Okay.
Yep, yeah. I worked with Randy, was here 14 years, then I went to Payne County for 12 years.
That's right. You were deputy, and didn't you run for sheriff here?
At Payne County, I was
Payne
sheriff for 2
County,
years.
okay.
You are on camera.
Yes.
Oh, he knows he's always on. He's learned that.
Oh, Kevin. I don't know about you.
Well, it's just because you made the comment last time that, as soon as I walked in, you were like, ah.
Well, the temperature went up about 20 degrees. I feel it. I was sitting beside him.
I think Monty's got sweat going on.
No, that's
He's glowing.
I had just got here, so I knew you might just say hi, but you weren't here for me.
I kind of had a feeling.
That concludes the consent agenda.
I'd entertain a motion on consent agenda items.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the consent agenda items? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, the motion carries. Item 15, comments, announcements, questions by the Board of County Commissioners or other county officers and department heads. Excise Board, you got anything for us? Stephen?
Still working on Simpson fire stuff with all the storms and severe weather stuff that's been going on across the state. David got tied up with dealing with some of that, so working on that still. And then Lazy and Little Britches are in town, so I've been kind of going out there with the extra 4,000 people in the county and driving around out there a little bit. So.
Did you take your light tire out there?
So Lazy, normally I do take my light tower out there, but this year Little Britches contracted with a company, and where we normally put one by the main entrance, the company that Little Britches Rodeo contracted with, they put one up at the main gate this year, so we didn't have to take ours out there.
Okay.
Anything else?
No.
Sheriff?
I just got back from Grand Rapids, Michigan. Was representing Oklahoma at the National Sheriff Association Conference. A lot of good things, a lot of scary things that are going on in our country right now. Lots of briefings on things they're experiencing at our borders and how it's affecting all of us, not just the border states. But we'll continue to fight, and thank you guys for approving that Exxon contract. That's a big deal. Some awesome technology that we're going to get to use, so I appreciate that.
Sheriff, you filled in on that board temporarily and then stood for election, didn't you?
Yes.
For a permanent position?
Got elected, yes, sir.
And you got elected in. So what is that position that you're in?
I'm on the board of directors, so each state can have up to 2 people on the board. Oklahoma, Sheriff Chris West from Canadian County sits on the executive board. He moved up to second vice president. Right now, I'm happy with just the board of directors.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Mary, you got anything?
Nothing, thank you.
There's other meetings waiting. I don't have anything killed time.
All right. Item 16, consideration of possible action on adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned. Okay.